ready or not. Here we go. So dividing monomials. Remember, a monomial is like a single term in an expression. So this is a monomial. This is a monomial. This is a monomial. So all those individual pieces are monomials, and we're going to be dividing them today. So there's this rule. It's called the quotient rule. Do you know what quotient is? No. Quotient shows up when you divide, right? Something divided by something will get you a quotient of whatever the number is. So the quotient rule says this. If I have x to the a power and I put it over x to the b power, notice my bases are the same. They're both x's, as long as that thing is the same thing. So a and a, x and x, 9 and 9, okay? Whatever it is, as long as it's the same, then the rule is you can take that base and instead of making it a division problem, you can subtract your exponents, okay? Similar to the product rule that said if I have x to the a times x to the b, I did x to the a plus b, okay? So when it was multiplication, we added our exponents. Now that it's division, that's this division bar, now we're gonna subtract our exponents, okay? So today's version of this keeps it pretty simple. We'll get to a point where it's a little less simple. But for now, we're gonna keep it pretty simple. I better check that quiz and make sure I kept it simple on your quiz now that I think of that. I'll take a look. All right, so if we're gonna apply the quotient rule to number 1, what do you suppose this becomes? Which would be what? You're just going to subtract your exponents. So that it's x to the 5 minus 3, but that can be easier written as x squared. Okay, notice the division went away. That's the goal. We want to simplify our answer. So we get rid of the bar and we just subtract our exponents. So tell your neighbor what number 2 should be then. Tell them quietly so that not everyone across the room hears it. What do you get on number 2? Tell your neighbor. What is it, Aiden? Well, you can tell me. I'm going to be your neighbor. No. You can do it. I believe in you.
Okay.
What do you get?
K to the 10th.
K to the 10th. Okay, you're going to subtract 12 minus 2 is k to the 10th. Okay, so in its most simplified form, k to the 12th divided by k squared is k to the 10th power. Subtract. Okay, so 3 is a little bit tricky then. What do you get? To what power? 0, right? 3 minus 3 is m to the 0 power. Do you remember what anything to the 0 power equals? 1. So this is actually equal to 1. If you tell me m to the 0, I don't give you full credit. I give you some credit because it's not wrong, but it's just not the best answer. So make sure if ever you see something to the 0 power, you turn it into a 1, okay? Okay, let's look at number 4. Anyone think they know what that becomes?
A to the 4th and B to the 1st.
What operation do you suppose is happening between the A and the B? What operation is happening between this A and B? Multiplication. So it's A to the 4th, B to the 1st. If something is to the 1st power, you can ditch the 1. I don't care if you leave the 1, but your best answer would just be this. Okay, A to the 4th times B. Yeah. So A to the 6 minus 2 is A to the 4th, right? And then your B's is B to the 4 minus 3. You're subtracting with the division, so that's B to the 1st power. Okay, so whenever it's division, you're going to subtract the exponents. Okay, let's try one more of these. Number 5, P to the 7th, Q to the 16th over P to the 4th, Q to the 12th. So that's going to become p to what power? The third. You're going to go p to the 7 minus 4. So p to the third. Q to what power? Not the third. The fourth. 16 minus 12. So q to the fourth power. Notice these are different bases. One's a p, one's a q. So you can't make that pq to the 7th. Okay, you have to leave them as two separate things. P to the third, q to the fourth. Questions on that? Okay, where it gets a little bit more complicated is on this next batch of problems. So when you have a coefficient, what's a coefficient? What's a coefficient? Shania, put your photo booth away. Logan, what are you doing? Nick, Safari, put it away. You guys are killing me. What's a coefficient? The number out in front. Okay? The number out in front of a variable is called your coefficient. Are you guys messing with each other right now? Leave each other alone. So what you're going to do when there is a coefficient is you're actually going to do that division. You're going to divide. Now, that's actually what you're doing with all of it. Let me show you how this could be broken down. So number 7 here is like saying 6 times x times x times x times x, right? That would be 6x to the 4th. The bottom is like saying 2 and then x to the 3rd. Okay, so that's essentially the problem that we're looking at, but they use the exponent instead of writing all those x's in. So now think about it. 6 divided by 2 is what? 3. X divided by x is 1. X divided by x is 1. X divided by x is 1. And we're left with just 1x. Well, if you thought about it the way I showed you before, 6 divided by 2 is 3. This is subtraction. X to the 4th is x, or x to the 4th divided by x to the 3rd is x to the 4 minus 3. So that would be x to the first power. You get the same answer. Okay, so rather than have to write it all out the fancy way, just remember coefficients get divided, and the way we divide with exponents is we subtract that number. Okay. So you do number 8. 14r squared s squared over 7rs. What is that going to become? Divide your numbers, subtract your exponents. You have r squared. On bottom you have r to what power? Okay, what'd you get?
I got 2RS.
2RS. Here is a very common mistake that I see made when any set of numbers is no exponent attached to it. Okay? 14 divided by 7 is 2. But I think people look at this and they forget that an r is actually r to the first power. Right? So if this is r squared and r to the first and we're subtracting, then we're left with an r to the first. Now you can ditch the 1. You don't need the 1. I'd prefer you don't put the 1, but it's not wrong if you have a 1 there. Okay? So then s to what power?
First.
The first power. So really 2rs is your best answer. Okay? Number 9. Now there's a negative that gets thrown in. What do you do first? Divide what? Yeah, we're going to start by dividing our numbers. So negative 36 divided by 4 is a negative 9. Technically, you guys, you can leave this as a fraction right now if it makes more sense to you, but your fraction ends up going away completely on these for now. Eventually it doesn't necessarily, but if you want to leave it with the division bar and then simplify one more time at the end, you totally can. I wouldn't on this just because it works out to nice numbers. What is c squared over c squared?
1.
It's 1. It's c to the 0 power, which is 1. Remember, anything over itself is 1. So c squared over c squared is 1, okay? So that's going to go away. You don't have to put the 1 in. And then d to what power? To the second. You subtract 5 minus 3, and you get 2. So your best answer is negative 9d squared, okay? Okay, look at number 11. This one's a little bit different. So far the fraction goes away. Our division bar goes away. This one, it doesn't. Why not?
Oh, because you can't no, give me.
You can simplify it. 4 over 8 is what? What's a simplified version of 4 over 8? 1 over 2. Okay, it's not 2, right? The smaller number is on top right now, so the smaller needs to stay on top. So 4 over 8 becomes 1 over 2. Okay, now here's where if you want to leave it as one big division bar, you can. What are you left with here?
And 4
N to the 4th, where?
next to it.
On top or bottom? It's a numerator. It's like saying n to the 4th over 1, right? If it was just this, n to the 5th over n, we would call that n to the 4th. That's a numerator. There's nothing on top of it, right? So in this case, you may either write it as n to the 4th up top, or you could write it as 1/2, and then n to the 4th can just be behind it, not part of the fraction anymore. So either n to the 4th over 2, if you want to leave the 1 there, you can leave the 1 there. I take either one of those. It's really a matter of what makes more sense to you. Just out of curiosity, who likes the left way better, where you leave it all as one fraction? Couple of you. Who likes this way better, where you make the fraction and the thing separate? Okay, so we're pretty split on that. Okay, let's see if you can break number 12 down then. Simplify 36m to the 9th, n to the 5th over 54m to the 3rd, n squared. See what you get.
How do you make it like this?
How do you know what?
Since it's 36 to 54, how do you turn that into a fraction?
Yes.
I mean, 0.67. More.
You remember how to do that on your calculator? You want Jolly Rancher? Take one and pass it around. If you're trying to do this on your calculator and you type in, let me show you. So if you have your calculator handy, get it out so you can try this because, you know, muscle memory, you'll remember it better. Right, David? Got a calculator? Oh, you do? Because you don't have one in your hands right now. This calculator, get it out. Do you have this? No, this one. You can't use that one on a test.
Here, David.
No, I got it.
I'll just use mine.
You have your calculator? Get your calculator. Calculator?
Hey, yeah.
Caleb? You have a calculator?
That's all right.
Elijah?
It's
Calculator?
not the right one.
No, Joe, we should cut.
Okay, so here's what you can do. If you want to reduce this on your own, by all means, reduce it on your own. But I do see a lot of mistakes happen when people try to do mental math and then they do a miscalculation. So if you're going to do it on this guy, here's what you're going to do. You're going to type in 36. Actually, let me check something. Yeah, okay. You're going to just put the fraction key in. So 36 and then this ABC fraction key. Hit that. And then do 54, and then hit enter. And what does it tell you?
2.
2/3, right? So it will reduce that fraction for you. If you're not sure how, then just try dividing everything by the same thing. But your calculator has that capability, and I am fine with you using that feature, okay? All right, so what did you get? It's 2/3. Okay, what do you get for your m? M to the what? M to the 6th, you're subtracting that. M to the 9 minus 3 is M to the 6th. N to the 3rd, okay? So you can write it like that for the 4 of you that liked it better that way, or you can write it like this, 2M to the 6th, N to the 3rd. Do you want me to take the candy away from you? You chucked it. I watched you. Oh, yeah, I guess I did do that. And then your denominator would be 3. Okay, so you may write it like this, or you may write it like that. They're both good answers. Questions on that? Okay, then they get a little bit fancier. Take a look at 13. Can anyone tell me what needs to happen first here? You got to take everything to the second power. If you reduce this right now, 3/27, you forgot to do your exponents before you divided. You always got to do the exponent first. So this is going to be 3 squared. Just call you Grace, huh? X to what power? What does this become? A power to a power, you do what? He fell. It's fine. A power to a power? Do you add or multiply? You multiply. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay? What is this?
A box.
It's 9. Okay? If you can square it, square it. 3 to the second power is 9. So this becomes 9 x to the 10th. And then we still had that 27x to the 3rd on the bottom. So keep that there, 27x to the 3rd. Are we done?
No.
No, not even close. What can you do here?
9, 18, 27, that would give you 1/3.
Right, so if you type in that fraction on your calculator, 9 fraction key 27, it's going to tell you 1/3. What does this become? X to what power? X to the what? 7. 10 minus 3 is x to the 7th. So your options are 1/3 x to the 7th, or x to the 7th over 3 is fine too. Or even if you wrote it like that, that's fine too. I don't care if you leave the 1 in there. Okay? Questions on that? Okay. Go to number 17. We're going to do 17 and 19, and then we'll be done. Okay. This one is a little bit different than the last one because notice the parentheses are around the whole thing this time. So you have a couple options here. You could actually distribute the exponent right away if you want. Or you can simplify inside the parentheses first. They both work. Okay? I think, you can disagree with me, but I think it makes the most sense to simplify what's inside the parentheses first, because then when you go to cube it, you get smaller numbers. Whereas if you cube everything first, you get big numbers, and then you got to take them back down to small numbers. I think it makes more sense to simplify what's inside first. So look at your parentheses right now. What does 2/4 become? 1/2. Okay. What's m to the 4th over m squared? M squared. So that's going to be m squared on top. And then n squared over n is just n. So really you have this right now, and we're cubing it all. Okay. So if I cube a 1, I get 1. If I cube m squared, so that's m squared to the 3rd power, what do I do with the 2 and the 3? multiply. So m to the 6th. N to what power? Currently it's n to the 1st, but we're going to cube that. So n to the, I heard someone say it, the 3rd. Okay, but then you got to do this, the bottom too. So 2 to the 3rd power is what? Not 6. 2 times 2 times 2. 8. Okay, so you can leave it right like that. Or if you want, you could turn it into 1/8 n to the, m to the 6th, n to the 3rd. Either one of those ways is good. If you really don't like that, you are more than welcome to cube the 2, cube the 4, cube this, cube that, cube that, cube that. But do you see how much extra work you're doing that way? I wouldn't, but you can. It's not wrong. And then you would simplify after that. Did you have a question, John?
No.
Oh, just throwing the ball. Okay, number 19, last one. Again, if you can simplify things, I would simplify. Does 4 over 5 simplify? No, so that's going to stay, 4 over 5. Does A over A simplify? What is it? It's not A. It's 1. It's the number 1. Anything over itself is 1. So that's essentially going away. You don't even have to write a 1 down because 1 multiplied by anything is not going to change the value of anything. Okay? So that goes away. What does B squared over B become? B to the 1st, right? So just B. That's a numerator right now. Or if you want to write it like this, you can write it like that. So this is fine or that is fine. Either way, it needs to get squared, okay? You don't need to do both of these right now. I'm just showing you the 2 different options. Pick the one you like better and write that one down. How then do I square that? You square every piece of it, right? So we're going to square the 4. That's 16. We're going to square the B. That's B squared. And we're going to square the 5. That's 25. So this is great. Or if you did it this way, it would be 16 over 25 B squared. That's great too. But like I said, you only need one or the other of those. You don't need both of those answers. They are the same answer, just in a different format. Questions on that?